Welcome to another episode of Israel at War. I'm Phyllis Zimbler-Miller, and today I'm very excited for the episode that we're going to have, the conversation, because I have with us the two co-founders of Artists Against Antisemitism. Although, as they will explain, their main claim to fame is that they're both novelists. Alison Hammer is in Chicago, Jill Santopolo is in DC, but they're going to explain why the initial group is authors and how it's expanded to artists. And also, it's very important that there's an auction starting this Friday, and they're going to tell you about the auction. So who wants to go first, talking about the founding, as we just discussed, after October 7th? So go ahead and someone tell the origin story, as we writers like to call it, and then we'll go from there.
Amazing. Yeah, well, thank you so much for having us. This interview, like everything else, has happened so fast, and I think that's a symbol of how much people have a need to do something and are behind this cause, which has been really inspiring. But we started as a group of authors who came together to just have support. We were all very worried and concerned about the rise of anti-Semitism that we were seeing on social media and the silence of our friends, and we just wanted support and community and to be there for each other. Some of us were already friends, some didn't know each other. We were all fans of each other, but through the few weeks, we really became close. And one day we were talking about wishing that we could do something, and I had an idea for an auction, because a lot of author groups have done auctions for, for Black Lives Matter, for LGBTQ things. There have been so many auctions. And so I brought the idea to the group and said, what do you guys think about if we do an auction? And Jill was one of the first ones to raise her hand that it was a good idea. And she had an idea for the charity partner. Jill, do you want to talk about that aspect of it?
Wait, I have one clarification. This
Okay.
initial group is all women. Is that correct?
It is all women, all Jewish authors for the initial group. We've grown very fast in stages, but yes, the initial group was all Jewish women authors.
Okay, I wanted to just get in that, what I would call a commercial break. Okay, now Jill, take it away.
Sure. So I had been talking to a friend of mine who had told me about Project Shema, which is a group that was founded, I think, about 2 years ago or so, and has been working to combat anti-Semitism, mostly in corporations, on campuses, sort of in larger places where they can have a kind of training and education and teach people about the history of Judaism, Jewish culture, and sort of what the history of anti-Semitism, and try and sort of broaden perspectives. And I thought, I'd read through their site, I thought they were pretty fantastic. So when Allison said, what would the crew here think of an auction? I said, I think it would be amazing if we could raise money for Project Shema, specifically to target campus anti-Semitism, because we had all been hearing about, you know, a lot of anti-Semitism on college campuses, many of which either we had attended or our siblings had attended, and had thought, that's someplace where we could really make a difference, particularly, because college students are the next generation and they're the future. And if we can sort of combat anti-Semitism at that stage, that it would, really make a difference.
And I think this was just in the days following everything that happened at Cornell. And I think, I remember it was a couple days after, because I remember that it was not the day of when my Jewish friends and community were talking about it. But a couple days later, I was in a meeting and my phone started blowing up with people like messaging me and saying they were thinking about me. And I looked at my boss, who's also Jewish, and I'm like, did something happen that I wasn't aware of? And what I realized is that people had started to hear about Cornell and realize that, okay, this is a real problem. When you think about something happening in Israel, that's more of an idea for people who don't have a personal connection. But anti-Semitism on college campuses and all that stuff, it's real, it's here. And I think that we wanted to call on that emotion. And also there's something about anti-Semitism that people can stand with. There's a question about, who do you stand with? And we hope that everybody can join us in standing against hate. And that felt like something that we could really rally people around.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. This is not a political argument on the left, right, or in the center. Yes, this is something absolutely, as I just told Allison and Jill, I am the co-host of a YouTube podcast that's been going on for 2.5 years. We did our 120th interview today, and it's all about anti-Semitism. It's called Never Again Is Now podcast. Because 2.5 years ago, I said, I can't keep reading this anymore. I have to do something. And so I reached out, it's funny, to a woman, Evelyn Marcus, who was featured in a documentary called Never Again Is Now. She's a Dutch Jew who came here from the Netherlands in 2006 because of anti-Semitism. And I said, we should have a podcast. First, she said no, and then she said yes. So we've been working in this field, and we've worked about anti-Semitism on college campus. But just to say that we also brought out the fact I'm a graduate of Wharton. I'm a Wharton grad alum. My younger daughter is Penn College. And we started working behind the scenes, I'm not saying we're with people we knew, against the the Palestinian Literature Festival. And to this day, I don't understand why it wasn't at least pushed off campus, knowing how many anti-Semitic speakers. Just the other day, I did someone interviewed a ZOA lawyer, Zionists of America. She read parts of the letter that they sent ahead of time to the festival, in which they literally put, this person says this about Jews, this person's a convicted terrorist, and yet nothing. So let's go back to the fact that you've had your aha moment, and you're going to now get other people on board. And how can we help with the auction? How can we help in general?
Yeah, so we started talking, and when you have a bunch of creative people that have ideas, it really was an instant spark. But quickly we realized that we all had connections outside of authors, because originally we were saying authors against anti-Semitism, it's alliteration, it's us, it's great. And then someone was like, well, what about our agents, or what about editors? And then someone's like, well, I know an actor and I know a musician. And we realized that all of these people share arts and that they're all artists. So we thought, why limit ourselves? Why not, the part of the reason that we believe there's been so much silence is that people don't know what to say. They're scared to say the wrong thing. And there hasn't been that much that's not political or divisive that people can really share. So we're like, why don't we create this platform for artists against anti-Semitism? And literally within like 2 days, our group went from 8 authors to 33, I believe, 33 founding members. And a few days after that, we have a leadership team with more than 100 people. And this is not months of work. It should have been months of work, but this is from idea to execution is less than a month. So it's been overwhelming in the very best way.
I'm just thrilled when I about what you're doing. So let's talk about the auction to get people, and then I'll do a link at the end of the description. So the auction starts. So today is December 12th. The auction starts the 15th, right? December 15th.
But it's open for browsing tomorrow.
Oh, it's open for browsing tomorrow. Okay, and then for bids on Friday. And then how many days is it?
And it's funny because originally we wanted to do it over Hanukkah, but we were like, people talked me down to be like, okay, that's way too fast. So then we were like, what about the last day of Hanukkah? And then Jane L. Rosen, and one of our founding members who's been involved from the very beginning, said, what if we make it about like keep the light going? And that's become our mantra of sorts. So we're starting the auction on the last day of Hanukkah. So it starts on Friday, December 15th at noon Eastern, and then it goes for a week, and it ends at Friday the 22nd at 4 p.m. Eastern, because we wanted to end before Shabbat started. So we're keeping the light going for another week, and we will have some of our items on for browsing tomorrow. We have been overwhelmed.
So give us examples. Come on, let's hear it.
I'll give you examples, but I'll also tell you that we have, as of when auction submission closed last night, we have more than 400 items. We were counting on maybe 150 or 200. So it has been like, again, it's just overwhelming, but we have so many. Jill, do you want to talk about a couple and I can talk about a couple?
Sure. I think some really fun ones are a 15-minute Zoom call with Mayim Bialik, that she donated lunch in New York or LA at a kosher deli with Mark Feuerstein. We have a set of signed She Persisted books and a letter of encouragement, personalized, from Chelsea Clinton.
Wow.
So I mean, and tons of signed books and naming rights to characters in books from, you know, all of the authors who are participating. I'm trying to think. We have fine art. We have some gorgeous pieces of art if you need something for your wall. Jewelry. We have vacation packages. I mean, it's pretty spectacular. Oh,
It's
we have Porky Pig, right, Allison?
Yes, yes. My cousin, I called in a family favor. So we've got Porky Pig, the Bob Bergen, the voice of Porky Pig, is donating a recorded message. So a happy birthday message to or happy anniversary or whatever they want, within reason, from Porky Pig. He's also donating
I'm
a
totally
half
bidding on
hour.
that one.
He's also donating a half-hour Zoom, either, you know, an Ask Me Anything with a fan or a VO coaching lesson. We have Henry Winkler did a 15-minute Zoom, and Patricia Heaton. We've got Martin Fletcher from NBC, who's doing a who is doing a 30-minute talk, either on Israel and the state of the Middle East or about one of his books. So many naming things. Like you said, we've got VIP concert ticket packages to New Kids on the Block and Bruce Springsteen. We just got 2 VIP tickets to Sister Hazel. It's just overwhelming. And so we really hope people will go check out the auction for gifts for themselves. There's, you know, another thing that I was thinking is we have a lot of authors that are fiction and nonfiction and middle grade and young adult. And for a lot of the young adult and middle grade authors, they've donated classroom Zoom visits.
Oh,
And
that is wonderful.
what better gift for a teacher is an activity and a way to inspire students. And so there are at least half a dozen middle grade or children's authors that are donating virtual classroom visits. And that just seems like a perfect teacher gift. And so we're hoping, our goal with this, you know, we took anything from people that were artists or even art adjacent, but we really wanted items that are not something you could get in a store or even get at a book signing. We wanted things that were really, really unique. And we hope people are gonna just bid early and often and help us raise a lot of money.
And spread the word.
Let's just emphasize, the donations are not just from Jews, is that correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Correct.
Okay, I always like to do a call out to make it very clear that there are many non-Jews who support the Jewish community, and I would just like to shine a light on that statement. And then I would like to go to what comes next and how people, there's a place on your website. We'll put, oh, before we move on though, say it and then I'll put it at the bottom. What's the link for the auction to go look at the?
So right now we're having people go to our website, which is theartistsagainstantisemitism.com. And there will be a link on the front page that will get people to the site as soon as it's open.
Okay, fine. Okay, now, and also you can sign up to be involved. I already did that before I met Allison and Jill, just because I think it's so important. But now let's talk about next steps. Or you haven't had enough time to brainstorm yet.
Next steps are we sleep. We've been like burning the candles at, you know, to keep the light metaphor going at both ends. Again, this was a ambitious goal when we started, and we weren't prepared for how amazing it would be, but everything is going to be perfect. And we've got beautiful graphics. We have volunteers that have been making graphics, that have been doing the write-ups and emailing people to check in about, you know, what details about everything. So this is very much just the beginning. And, you know, it started as an idea for like a single event and an auction. And once we grew to the 33 members that were the founding members, we had a Zoom call, and it's actually pretty funny because I was trying to be organized, trying to be a good leader. I had an agenda full of all of the logistics. And then maybe we got to the third item and someone was like, can we talk about like what we are doing here? It was Zibby Owens. And, she was like, we have this entire group of strong, passionate, creative women who want to do something. So like, what else are we going to do? What can we do? And that conversation, I'm so grateful for Zibby and the perspective that she brought, because she got us thinking about this, changing our thinking from it being an event to being an organization and a movement and something that, with all of this amazing talent and everybody together, it would be a shame to let it end here.
Exactly. And I know that Zibby herself did a very, I don't know if the word is courageous, but very forthright thing in terms of making a statement early on about, it was which awards that she withdrew her company funding because they would not assure that but it was an author event, right? That the authors would not make statements.
National Book Awards.
Yeah. And I actually tried to interview her then. Maybe when she listens to this now, she'll say yes to me. But I very much admired that she did that. And that's the kind of thing when you don't think about the little, I don't know, that was not such a little thing, but the things that we can all do. Now, there's another question I want to ask. How about expanding outside the United States? What are you going to do there?
One thing at a time. No,
we do already have some people who've signed up to help who are, I think we have a couple of people in Tel Aviv. Maybe someone in Canada.
One of our founding members lives in Israel, and we've gotten auction items from somebody in Ireland.
Great.
But I think after the auction, we're really focused on the auction right now, and we want to make that our sort of main push and take all of our energy. But I think after the auction's done, after we all sleep, after we maybe take a little bit of a break, I think we do want everyone to come together on the founding team and on the leadership team and sort of say, what do you see? Like, what problems do you see? Because that's how this started. We saw a problem and we wanted to do something about it. So, what are the other issues that we could help with, either financially or creatively, by making connections, by using the skills of the people who we've gathered together here. But we definitely, want to continue to make a difference in this space in any way we can.
Okay, I'll give you the challenge.
We've talked about anti-Semitism, and you said, asked the question about whether it was just Jewish people. And we strongly believe that anti-Semitism is not a Jewish problem, that it's a human problem.
I 100% agree.
And it is centuries old. I think, Jill, you said that it's the oldest form of hate, and it's not going to go away after, this auction or it's going to take a lot of work to help fight it. And Project Shema, we think, is just the perfect partner for us with this, because they are, working with the younger generation, and their whole thing is about building bridges through understanding and education. And education is such an important Jewish principle, and living that and having these tough conversations. It just really felt like the perfect first big act for us.
And my challenge is to incorporate it into your fiction, just the way I try and do. I try and incorporate the things that I write, like little pieces of information, like I'm not doing it. Well, I will do it here. And all the podcasts I've been doing recently, I've been doing almost all a commercial break in which I say, Israel has not been in Gaza since 2005. My husband and I were literally in Sderot the weekend when all the Israeli troops came south and took all the Israeli settlers out. Israel has not been occupying Gaza since 2005. All those things that people absolutely, especially young people. I just saw a poll from someone, I forget which group, within the last 24 hours about the younger people are the ones that have literally no idea. 1 in 5 believe the Holocaust is a myth. And so, especially authors who are middle grade in YA, if they can work it in, even if it's not a Jewish theme, it would be really a way of helping educate people.
And I think that, oh, God.
No, I'm just saying it doesn't have to just be authors. It can be.
Oh, absolutely. It's everybody. And I think, I've been seeing so many people sharing Instagram stories, which is amazing. And one thing that we're also trying to help people understand is that Israel is Israel and the Jewish people are Jewish people. And, no matter what you think about Israel, no matter, what you think about the current situation, there's different people within, that have many, many opinions. Yes, education is a problem on that. People are not as educated as they should be to speak about it. But the Jewish people, like anti-Semitism is we think about it as almost a separate issue. They're absolutely linked. But I saw a post the other day. Pink has been just an amazing voice and activist and everything. And she shared a comment that somebody had put on a company had shared a menorah for the night of Hanukkah, and somebody commented, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is really insensitive during this current climate. And Pink commented something like, "What's insensitive? That it's Jewish or that we're alive?" Like it being that Hanukkah has nothing to do with the conflict right now. And I think that that's part of why there's been the silence, because people don't want to say the wrong thing. And so by really being focused on anti-Semitism here at home and on college campuses, we're really hoping that, again, it's something that people can help with us, help stand against hate with us.
I think your approach is really good to take it out of the political arena. And the more we can explain why and how it affects everyone, I think is very important. And I want another commercial break. When people looking at us now, I assume we're all Ashkenazi Jews. But the thing is, many Jews are dark. They are not light skinned. They're Mizrahi or Sephardic. And I think one of the problems that we in America face in combating anti-Semitism is that we're seen as white, but we really are not treated as white. So it's a whole thing that we have to educate people about, to understand what a Jew is. I mean, I grew up in Elgin, Illinois. I was the only Jewish kid in my class most of the time. In some ways that protected me because they didn't know my close friends did. But on the other hand, many people in America have never met a Jew. And that is a problem that we need to introduce ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of education. And that's a way to help fight anti-Semitism, I think, when they understand that they are saying horrible things about us, meaning real people.
And I think that people may not even realize some of the things that are anti-Semitic. And we think of, for me, one of a big moment a couple years ago was when everything happened with Kanye West. And, there were honk if you hate the Jew sign over the 405 and signs. I went to the University of Florida. There were signs outside a big football game that says Kanye was right about the Jews. And I'm not bad with numbers, but I like facts and just different things. And someone had pointed out that Kanye West has more followers than there are Jews in the United States.
Yes, I've seen
and
this.
I think that there's a lot of Jewish communities. I grew up in St. Louis, which someone said the other day that it was a Catholic city, but there's a big Jewish community there.
Yes.
But it's insulated in certain areas. So there's a lot of people around a lot of parts of the country who don't know any Jewish people, or who don't know, who just, they don't know. So I think that there's a lot of work to be done. I know with a lot of Jewish authors, one thing that I personally talk about a lot is that growing up, Jewish books were Holocaust books, but there's so much more to us than that. So with my books and with so many other of our authors, Jean Meltzer is one of our founding members, and she always talks about Jewish joy, where our stories are about Jewish women living their lives that happen to be Jewish and have Jewish things in them, but that there's more to us than the Holocaust and then all of these things. So I think that there's an aspect of that in bringing our stories and just things about our life into more of people's minds and hearts.
And I could just want to say, it's not only non-Jews that need to know that. My younger daughter, both my daughters went to Jewish day school, K through 12. And my younger daughter said, we just focused on the Holocaust. There's so much Jewish history that we didn't learn. So it's not just non-Jewish young people. Jewish young people too need to understand. And so I try and work in one of my other commercial breaks is to try and work in that Jews have been in Israel since before the first and second temple, that temple that stands in Jerusalem. And the time that Jesus came on the scene, we were there. And people have, amazingly don't know that. And so all of us have an opportunity in Jewish singing groups. I mean, we have such amazing ways if we take the initiative. In fact, I would just say that this morning on a episode of Never Again Is Now, when talking to Dr. Michael Bernberg about Israel is losing the PR war, he said they need a whole separate unit. There's the war, military, and then the PR war. And we all have to get better at not just explaining the politics, but again, explaining what Jews are like in America, how much we've committed, but also the small percentage we are. And one of my other commercial breaks is I have a volunteer site called Operation Support Jews in the Military, and it's American Jews. I've met people who say, American Jews don't serve in the US military. I go, actually they do. And they serve in the same percentage as we are in the population in the United States. And that's another thing that we need to explain to Americans, that American Jews are very much Americans and then Jewish.
Well, I think I think that some people identify in different points in my life. I've identified as a Jewish American and then an American Jew. And I think that this all of this bringing us together and making us even more proud and vocal and out there about our Jewish identity. There are people in our group who consider themselves Jewish by name, but then this really kind of like inspired them to get more in touch with their heritage and their culture. And I think that it's had a very strong effect to bring us together. But again, I think that part of what we're trying to do is to help people understand that again, like there's Israel and there's Jewish people. And I think that a lot of people are combining the two. We are Americans, we vote in America, we don't vote in Israel. We are not like, they're connected, but they're separate. And I think that the rise in anti-Semitism, I think that part of that is because of the confounding between the two. And we are just really trying to, have conversations about the whole history, but also just about Jewish people and understanding the danger of anti-Semitism.
Let me ask Jill a question. Has there been any pushback to the group?
So I think there have been some people who, when posting, have gotten comments, but the comments were always things that we'd been getting when we posted about anything involving sort of, the current events or Jewish events. Like, they weren't necessarily, I think, specifically this. It's just there are people who are on, social media right now who are looking for tags or looking for things and then sort of pushing back against it.
Mm-hmm.
But overwhelmingly, there has been much more support than there have been those kind of internet trolls. And I think, looking into that support has been really, really heartening, in a time when you look at a school that, my sister went to Cornell, and you look at that and you think, what kind of world are we living in? And then when you get this kind of support, and the fact that within, I don't even, how long have we had the auction open? Like a week and a half or something. We've
Less than that,
gotten
I think.
more than 400 donations. I mean, that says so much. And I think that's something really special too, that this auction has done, that it's really sort of publicly shown that there are so many people who care. And I think part of what we want to do is replace hate with understanding and spread light. And, that's here's where we're starting, and it seems to be doing what we hoped it would be, even more than we hoped it would be.
And also, as authors, you have the chance to model some appropriate answers. So a couple of weeks after October 7th, I co-organized an event, not at my synagogue, a different one, here in Beverly Hills for a community event. And what we did is we did an exercise and broke up to groups. We took 8 questions that are, negative questions that have been lobbied to choose. And then we worked on answers. But I think the same thing can be done. And I mean, I know that on our Never Again Is Now podcast, we also frequently try and do it, modeling how to respond, not in anger, but considering a teachable moment. So an author group, an artist group is uniquely positioned to model some of these responses so that people don't stay silent because they don't know what to say.
Mm-hmm.
But if we kind of help them and what they can say, you could put that on your website, just simple ideas of what to say as answers.
Maybe that's our next project.
Yeah.
Working with Project Shema, because I feel like that's a lot of what they do is give people the tools and the conversations to do. But to your point, that was one of Zibby's points when we got together. Like, we're writers, what can we do? Words are very powerful. They can hurt and they can heal. And this is just the beginning for us. I believe, and I'm hopeful that we will continue to spread light and love and combat hate and make the world and this future generation more kind and understanding. It's a big goal, but
it's a big goal.
Big goal.
And we're chipping away at it.
Okay, so unless you have anything else to say, I will end this really, really very compelling interview. I wish you all the success. I'm happy to help, and we have a lot of work to do.
Amazing. And I'll just last say to please bid early, bid often, use your wallets to show where your heart is, and to give us the support to make the auction a success. So it again is theartistagainstantisemitism.com, where you can join our leadership team and find links to the auction as soon as it's live.
Okay, everyone, theartistagainstantisemitism.com. Got it. Do it. Okay. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.